Anyway, we're back in the swing of things, and our jumping off the new year is Carol Corbett and John Aalto doing our Meet Your Fellow Artists. And Carol's going to start.
Okay.
And I don't know much intro. Carol Corbett, she's been a member for a while, and here she is.
Okay. Now, I'm really unaccustomed to speaking in public, so you have to bear with me with this one. I don't have the professional background that many of you do. I have no real training or schooling. I've done some, little workshops and so on. But I like art. When I was about 9 or 10, I think, my aunt was a painter. And she was in New Jersey, she was painting on a big easel and all that, and I was watching her, and she said, "Would you like to try it?" And I said, "Sure." So she gave me a piece of canvas paper and told me, "Here's my brush, here's the palette, paint something." So this is what I painted. I don't know if I copied it from another picture or whether I learned it from Sunday school, but anyway, this is it, and it's, you can see it's very old. This was my first attempt. After that, I went to high school, and I took art in high school, but I really wasn't too good at it, I think. I passed, but I wasn't real excited about it. I went to secretarial school, became a secretary, got married right away. And when we were married, we moved back into the same building, the apartment building where I grew up. That's where Alma lived with her husband and her new baby, and so our two families got together again after a few years of separation. And in the apartment, there was a girl who lived, a neighbor, Ruth, and she was a wonderful, good friend. And she was a Christian. She knew the Bible back and forth, and so she really opened our lives up to a new spiritual path. And I give her a lot of thanks for that. But her brother, Ernest Albert Land, was a professional artist, and he was an oil painter. He did trompe l'oeil, and he would finish a painting with every detail, and then he would take Brillo and steel wool it down so that there wasn't a brush stroke or a dot on it. It was like silk. And then he would, varnish it. It was wonderful. And you'd see like a little piece of Scotch tape sticking off it, and it was painted on, and you would feel it, and it felt like silk. But you always wanted to fix it. He would have a thumbtack hanging out of a board, and you would fix it. But it was smooth as silk. So we used to sit sometimes in the evening and just talk about art, and I had never done that before with anyone. And it was fun, so I thought, well, when my first baby was born, we bought a paint-by-number kit with a clown. So I painted this clown, we put it to decorate the baby's room, which was our bedroom, with a crib in it. By the third baby, our bedroom was now the living room sleeper couch, because we only had a 3-room apartment, and the kids were all in the bedroom. But I had this leftover paint from the paint-by-number kit and a brush. So I got a canvas board from my mother's house, little one, and I found a carpet ad in a magazine, and I said, let me see what I can do with this. So I worked on it for a long time, actually, in the kitchen, on the table, bending over it, sniffing the turpentine. And this was the painting that I did.
Wow.
And so I was pleased with this. I thought this turned out pretty good, So I said I could do like what Ernest does, the trompe l'oeil. I'll set up a still life. So I had a piano, and I had a guitar, and I had a bottle, and I had sheet music and that kind of stuff. I had cigarettes. So I set up my still life on the piano, and this is what I came up with. Now this is, I have to tell you, I worked so hard on this music. It's Malagueña. It took me hours to do a bar of music with a little tiny brush. And when I got all done with it, I mean, the cigarettes look pretty good.
Piano keys.
But there's the other painting.
Okay, oh, right.
In the corner. And I realized that I didn't get the shine on the keys, I didn't get the shine on the wood, you know, I can't be a trompe l'oeil painter, and I haven't got the patience for it. So I kind of gave that up. I said, that's enough of that. So, the one thing that I always liked to do was read, and I read the book Green Mansions, and I got a dream of what this place looked like. It was a green forest with the sun streaming in through the trees, touching the little leaves, coming down onto a beautiful clear blue pond with a nice flat stone next to it, nice and dry and warm in the sun, where you could sit and you could contemplate and think, and just what a beautiful place it will be. So I said, let me get a nice canvas and I'll paint it. But it was green. Green is hard. I find green very hard. So I was trying, and of course I don't know what green I was using, but it was mud green. So I got mud green here, mud green, worse mud, worse mud, worse. That was the muddiest forest you ever saw. So I took a rag and I went, and I got out my blue paint. Covered the canvas with blue. So, this is what it worked out to be. And I think, as I look at it now, I see this dark tunnel, and I see a red light, and I'm thinking, was that frustration? What would a psychiatrist say? The tunnel is dark and that light is red. But this was what I made out of that Green Mansions. I later painted some that turned out better. And I also like to paint clouds and sky, so I did a lot of those kind of things, different colors. You know, I like that kind of a feeling. It's loose and
Very
light.
nice.
I did a lot of watercolors with, I took the Foster books and copied the seascapes in those. That was much freer than that trompe l'oeil stuff. Let me see, now we moved out to Long Island. And my sister-in-law and brother lived in Kings Park. And they knew, my sister was an artist, and they knew of an artist in Smithtown who had classes in his basement studio. It was Saturday mornings from 9 to 12, $5. I said, this is great. So my brother paints also. So we went over there every Saturday morning and we painted. There were about 5 of us, and we would critique each other's work. And when I walked into that basement studio and I smelled the coffee, and I'm not a coffee drinker, but when I smelled that coffee and the turpentine and the linseed oil, I was like, oh, this is it. This is ambrosia. This is wonderful. So anyway, we did that for quite a while, and I got a lot of little paintings. He had a few little small shows, and went to the small shows. I sold some small paintings for small money, but it was good. It was a good experience, and it was fun. So then he opened up a big store with framing and formal classes, and it was much more money, so we dropped out of that. Around this time, Alma came out to the island, and she was working in the town of Islip. Found out that they had Rembrandt classes in the town of Islip. So I said, let's do that. So we went to Evelyn Rysdick's class, and she showed us the glazing technique, which is really, if you haven't tried it, it's so wonderful. You take a canvas and draw on it what you're going to paint. And then you take a medium, a burnt sienna, very thin mixture, mixed with turpentine, and you tone the canvas. Then you take titanium white for your lights, and burnt umber, and you could add phthalo blue to get your really darks. And the middle tone is that, I know Andy really loves these colors. So anyway, you do your whole painting like this with the darks, the lights, and the middle tones, and you let it dry, dry, dry. And then you take your transparent phthalo blue, phthalo green, cadmium yellow light, alizarin crimson, and your sienna and your ochre. And you just thin with a heavy medium, nice and medium, and you put your glazes one at a time. You put your yellow on if you're going to make orange. Yellow first and then a little red. You don't mix them together. You just put them on one at a time. So this was a great thing. We copied some Rembrandts. And I had this doll. It was given to me by my Aunt Helen one Christmas. It was the last Christmas that I got a doll. And the story was that it was given to her, this doll, was an antique doll, by Grace Bradley, who was Hopalong Cassidy's wife. I don't know if it was true or why she gave my Aunt Helen this doll, but I got it. My mother made the dress and all the veiling and all that. So we did this kind of with that same glazing technique, you know, which gives it kind of an antique-y look. I like it. But anyway, and you can still get your blues even though you had that sienna underneath. So while I did that, I liked that technique so much that I used it with this one. One of the subjects that I always wanted to paint was Abraham and Isaac from the Bible, because Abraham I see as an old man, very old he was when Isaac was born, and Isaac being a young boy with this innocence and youth. And I could see the two contrasting, the two faces, the characters. But I never had right models for it. When I ran across a picture of my daughter and my husband's uncle, now he was a fisherman up in the Grand Banks by Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, and they were just looking at each other with this look of love and gentleness and sweetness that I painted this, and I kind of used a glazing technique with this. And this one, by the way, won a supervisor's award at the Baca show last year. So I was real happy that that got a ribbon. Let me see, that's that. In 1992, my husband passed away, and so my brother and sister-in-law, who are now living in Carolina, invited me to come down and spend some time with them. So I went down, and they took me to Tom Clark's studio. He's a sculptor, and he does these little sculptures. Not like this, but good ones. And he uses dental tools and clay, and he has a kiln, of course. And he really made these wonderful things. So I said, that's fun. I'm going to try that. So I bought Sculpey, which is a clay that you can harden in a toaster oven.
Yeah.
You have to heat it up like 250 or 300. It's a wonderful thing. So I started sitting at night after I worked and I ate, and I could just play with this stuff at the kitchen table. And I made all these little things. This is a little newsboy. And the newspaper I actually reduced from an actual newspaper on the copy machine. So they're actually real. And I sold a couple of these at Newsday, actually. But anyway, that was fun. And then also my sister-in-law showed me a technique that she had learned. And Alma mentioned it when she was showing hers, the UPO. UPO is watercolor on waterproof paper that resists. So the watercolor paint just kind of splashes all over the place. You can move it and it'll move. We made stamps out of taking a razor blade and cutting into an eraser, and you can make your little stamps and stamp it here and there and move it around where you wanted it. And this is one of the ones that I did with that technique. It's a lot of fun if you ever think about trying. There's an article in last month's Artist magazine about UPO, actually. That's that one. And then also I did some watercolors. One fun watercolor that I did, this was at Gurney's. Newsday's executives had a weekend meeting at Gurney's, and I was retired at the time. So they said, would you come out and answer the phone and make faxes and make copies? And so, sure, I said, that sounds good to me. I got free meals and I got, the weekend at Gurney's. So the day we were supposed to go home, there was a terrible snow. I couldn't get my car up the hill. So they said, you'll have to stay another night. And I said, oh, shucks. So I had brought my watercolors with me, so I painted this in the snow at Gurney's, which was kind of fun. And these are drawings that I did. This is my mother and my Aunt Alice, just a pencil drawing. And this is a painting that I did, ink and water, from Byron Lighthouse. I did this in 82.
Wow.
Yeah. That was before it was really reconditioned. And this is a drawing I did of an Indian. That was a painting that was hanging in my room at my brother's. So I did that drawing. And this was a watercolor. I wanted to do a watercolor that had a fountain in it. I wanted a white fountain with like a cobblestone walkway going to it with the woods in the background. Well, that fountain just wasn't gonna happen. Though, I'm not used to watercolor, and so I was making nothing but mess. And I tried whiting it out with the white, just all over it, it was awful. So I just cut it right in half, and I sold this, original. This is just a copy, but yeah, it turned out nice. There was a lot of happy accidents in this. I don't know how I got that glow, but it glowed. This is a good one. And then this is just a flower thing. I don't usually do flowers, but this is a little floral watercolor that I did. Is that okay?
The bowl is perfect.
The bowl is perfect.
Oh, boy.
Thank you.
You have to comment on it.
Thank you. Let me see. And then, now with all this tight stuff, I really like the looser work. I like to work loose. I like to be freer. And I had taken a picture over at the beach. I love that Far Island Beach, by the way, by the lighthouse. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. And if you haven't been there, you just drive over the Robert Moses Causeway to Field 5, go all the way up to Field 5, park your car there, and you can walk there's a pathway, a boardwalk that goes right out to the lighthouse. And it's absolutely an incredible place. And you look at the skies and the water and the sand dunes, and it's just breathtaking. So you catch your breath and you grab your brush. So I was out there and I got a photo of the beach. It had been a big storm, and there was a lot of wash away, a lot of erosion. And so I said, I'll do an underpainting with acrylic and just make a quick one, and then I'll go over it with oil. And I tell you, when I finished the underpainting, I was so happy with it. It looked free, it looked spontaneous, it was not overworked. And I said, I understand that if you're an artist, you can say it's done. And I think sometimes we don't say it's done quick enough. At least I don't. And I overwork them till I kill them. But anyway, this is the way I like to work kind of now, much freer. And Mike told me that he brought this because he thought I should include it in my group of things. This is a painting that he bought from me. It was from a photograph that I took in Manhattan when I was there one rainy day. And
You're gonna give it back to him.
I might give it back to him.
We're not
It has such a feel to him.
Yeah.
I never, it's prominent in my studio, and I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay, and that's about it.
No, over there.
Oh, yeah, that, okay.
You dropped your card.
That's okay, I know who I am, I think. This was a painting that I did plein air after I guess it was after I retired, it must have been. It's at Sayville Marine Museum, and that's before the clam boat was painted and fixed up. It was really a mess, and I went out there and I just stood there and painted it. I'd never done that before by myself. And it was fun because there was one man who came by with a little kid, and ordinarily you might feel a little cowed when somebody's watching you, but the man was saying to the little kid, do you see what she's looking at? Do you see what she's painting? What is she looking at? What is she trying to do? And he was trying to teach the little guy, And I thought, that's kind of nice. So anyway, that's the painting. I won an honorable award ribbon for that one. So, yeah, I forgot to tell you, in 2006, my sister-in-law Ann came, they live in Texas now, but she came to New York and she was visiting with me, and she said, what art groups are you in? And I said, none. I said, I used to be in the West Islip group sometimes, but they closed. And she said, oh, Carol, you have to go to a group. So I said, I don't know any group. And I called Alma and I said, you don't have any groups? She said, no, let me find out. There's some group called Wet Paints. It's in Sayville on Tuesday nights drawing. So Ann had watercolors with her, and I took a pencil and a book, and Alma brought a pencil and a book. We said, well, see what it's like. Been here ever since. And I gotta just thank you guys so much, because this is a beautiful group of diverse experience. You got people who like Mike and like Andy, and so many of you are so professional. And there's others who are just beginners, and there's others who are just having happy accidents occasionally. And it's nice to be able to talk art with people. When you sit down with somebody, to just be able to talk art, I never realized that before. But it's a beautiful thing, and I just thank you all very much for coming and listening to me. Nothing's not in the bag. I did everything.
Any questions? Anyone have any questions?
Yes.
But I'd like to just say that what I find great in Carol is, and the book there has 5, 6, 7 of them that I'm talking about, is the feeling of the atmosphere in my painting that she gave me, that I bought with the rain, but in other ways too, with shade and a little bit of fog. I think that's such a strong point of yours. Really.
Atmosphere. It gives it a mood that you can feel.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. I like to get a feeling of a mood in a painting rather than just, nuts and bolts.
You did a good job.
Very nice.
That UPO I wanted to ask you about. If it's water resistant, how do you get the watercolor to stay on there? I
It
don't get
doesn't stay. It's flat.
If you have to
You
keep
have it flat,
Yeah.
and you put your paint on it and you push it around.
And then you gotta let it dry like that.
Do you remember
You
finger
let it dry
paints?
flat.
The waxy kind of paper they
Yeah.
use? I would sort of smear it around and really go in the paper. I think it must be like that.
Yes. Once it's done, you can just wash it right off.
Yeah.
What
So
type
does
of
it
paint?
ever dry to a permanent state then, or?
I don't, well, they say it's sun resistant. I think you would have to keep it covered though from water.
Yeah.
I don't think it's water resistant.
Yeah.
What type of paper do you use? Watercolor paper?
On the Yupo, no, it's Yupo paper. It's a resistant, like a waterproof paper, shiny, very, very white.
Yeah. Was it made specifically for something else other than water-based?
I know when I first did these, it's in Texas, they wouldn't let you enter them in a show. They didn't consider it legitimate. But now I think, because of the article in Artist Magazine, I think it is legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think
Did you spray yours with anything to
What?
fix it? The U-boat
The
paint?
Yupo, no. I just put a glass on it. That's the best way, yeah.
But I
You
think
know, I
if you
just
used, if you
make it.
used acrylic, you probably wouldn't.
You probably could use acrylic and maybe, it would- I don't know. It might move around on the paper. We'll have to try it.
It'll probably chip
Might
off.
peel
If the
off.
paper's
Another-
flexible,
another
wouldn't it?
experiment.
Like that.
Chip
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, acrylic today has more elastic.
It's more elastic,
Yeah, it's much
yeah.
more elastic than it used to be. It was more, before it was like.
But if it doesn't absorb into anything, you can peel it and it'll be,
Oh,
you'll get
yes.
like a skin.
Right, that's what she
Yes.
said.
So you could probably peel your painting off the paper and use the same paper over and over again. Just peel up these
Peel it off and put it on
Yeah,
something
really.
else.
Stick it on the wall.
clothesline, really, wrap it around a lampshade.
What medium are you gonna stick to now? Watercolor, oil?
No, I like oil.
You like oil?
I like oil. That's my
But there's a
favorite.
big difference, isn't it? You're
Oh,
so
yeah.
loose with that watercolor.
Yeah, but I'm trying to be loose with the oil as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
You knew Mario Grimaldi.
Yeah, he was a good
You
friend
belong
of
to any
mine.
of his groups?
I did belong to one,
Oh, you did?
just briefly, because I was working and I didn't
Oh,
have time for that.
yeah.
I was good friends with Mario. In
Yeah,
fact, I
that
had a
was-
little group meeting in my basement. We were trying to paint my basement. And Mario came down and did a demo for me.
Yeah.
The abstract painter?
Yeah,
Oh, he was great.
yes.
I belong
Oh.
to his group.
Did you?
Yeah.
These people,
Well, he worked
they
on
never
it.
Yeah, I
seen
used to
him.
sit up with
When
him
he
in the
first
studio and,
started,
yeah,
That was Suffolk County Art
yes,
Scout.
right.
yeah.
Yeah, no, he was good. We used to sit up in his studio and drink coffee and talk all night. He had a coffin sitting there. Did you see his
A what?
coffin? A coffin.
A
And it was
coffin.
done like that, and he had his head on the top of it,
Yeah.
and an arm coming out the side carrying a briefcase. And he said, it's today's man who's dead and he doesn't know it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
he must have did that, that's why.
And he broke it up, and he said, I said to him, I saw something like that in a museum. He
Yeah.
said, I know, I broke it up too soon.
And he sold his paintings for a lot of money.
Yeah, he
50,
went by the
20,
square foot.
30,000.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was there when he was making a transaction with painting over 20,000. I couldn't get over it.
yeah, he
People
was
walking around with
amazing.
that kind of money. And he sold.
He was fun. He
Yeah,
was so excited about art.
Yeah,
that
he
we
was.
watched
Yeah.
it, you know, he
Yeah,
just
that was
loved it.
him.
yeah.
How old was he when he passed? I don't think he was that old.
70
It was
something.
hard to
He
know
did
because he didn't always tell the truth about his age. So
You
you
know,
got a
Very
couple of
vain.
different ages.
you couldn't tell his age.
No,
But art he was so excited about.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else
You
have
would have
anything
enjoyed
to
meeting
ask?
this man. Oh, what a gem.
Did you know Andrew Stosky?
I know the name, but
It's
He
I,
was a
Watercolor.
watercolor, Andrew Scott.
Yeah,
no, I didn't know him.
yeah, he was
No
good too.
time.
Sal Tortora.
Sal Tortora. You know, all these people, you know, you come in and out of your life at different periods, and it just makes your life so full.
Yeah.
Telephone.
You're gonna stop this.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay, thank you.